Here she is recording a podcast singing fucking songs about her being a ruffle chip. Hello, and welcome to the Weeder Life podcast. I'm your host, Erica Weederlight, and I am the CEO and founder of We the Light. I help humans who feel inadequate, broken, self-conscious, and shamed around their sexuality to reclaim their aliveness, their power, and to have a renewed relationship to pleasure while preparing themselves to feel hella confident to date others and themselves. AKA, I'm guiding people to live their #best lives. I have to give you a fair warning. I do unfortunately swear like a drunken sailor, so if you do have little ones by you, just be sure to pop in some earbuds. Alright friends, let's buckle up and let's rock it to this week's episode. Self-love, self-love. Oh, I have so many feelings about this topic. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I have so many crunchy crawlies. I am so grateful. No, in all seriousness, I am so grateful that I get to talk about this because, all right, I have a little crunch, but don't worry. I'm going to address the crunch. I actually was going to start the episode with the crunch of the self-love world /journey / like the Instagram look of like self-love. Treat yourself. #tummy tea. You know what I mean? Like that lens of self-love makes me feel very contracted and very crunch city. I'm like, crunch city bitch. You know what I mean? Like I'm truly a ruffle trip. A ruffle trip? I'm a ruffle trip. I am a ruffle trip, but I'm a ruffle chip. I'm that crunchy around that version of self-love. However, this is coming from the girl that had so much fucking anxiety. Take a breath about that one. So much anxiety and so much self-loathing that I remember I couldn't even like walk into a classroom, you know, like in high school. I would be just so fucking riddled with panic and self-loathing and self-hate. And like, who is she? Here she is recording a podcast singing fucking songs about her being a ruffle chip. You know what I mean? Like the journey is real. I think if you surround yourself with healers, teachers, coaches, or you do the real work of self-love, like not the fucking face mask bullshit. I mean, listen, I love a good face mask. I'm gonna be honest, I did watch Netflix last night. You know, like there is a space for that. We did talk about that in the rest episode, but I want to like, let's move beyond the face mask, the Pinot conversation. Again, is there a space for it? Yes. But I want to talk about like real fucking deep self-love, like deep, integrous self-love, integrity, all of those things. And like I said, like part of me makes me cringe, part of me makes me crunch. And I had to sift and sort, you know, when I first started my journey, I had to do the crunchy ass self-love, you know, like that part of it. And then I was like, oh, this doesn't feel good. Like this doesn't feel authentic. And then I started getting real and doing the real journey of self-love and self-work. But, you know, I'm thinking about it and I'm like, if you do the real work on this, it fucking works. Again, I was a person, and I remember, and I think I talked about this before, but like I kind of, you know, accepted the fact that, okay, this is just who I am. I'm just always going to hate myself. I'm just always going to be in self-loathing. I'm just always going to be in the shit pot of anxiety. Like I'm always just going to be in a state of panic. And I mean, the anxiety, the self-hate, the self-loathing, ooh, I could cry. It was, oh, my little babe, you know, I'm like, little you're a star. Why'd you let people, you know, why'd you believe shit that wasn't true? You were a fucking bad bitch, you know? And I didn't know it and I didn't see it and I wasn't there. And so if someone that was so riddled with so much shame can come through the motherfucking ashes like Harry Potter's goddamn phoenix and turn to you and say, bitch, yes, I promise you can. Like, I promise you can. Because I didn't think there was hope for me. You know, like, I just didn't think there was hope for me. Oh, and she's crying. I can't handle it. I just can't handle it. No spoilers, but I just watched the new Sex and the City, so I've just been crying. I've just been crying for days. And anyone that hasn't watched it, it could be good tears, it could be bad tears, so no spoilers ahead. But I want to give that message that if I could do it, you could do it. And it's worth doing, because I thought I was going to live my life like that. And that fucking sucks, like living in a state of fear and panic and contraction versus living from a place of flow. And I get to give this work to people. I mean, that's the good shit. So that wasn't planned. I was going to tell a story, and I just started off by crying at you and talking about ruffled chips, which I'd love a ruffled chip right now. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, but I'd love a little ruffled chip. But before we go into the good, I talked about I hate the hashtag, fake self-care bullshit. But before we go into the good, and here's the thing, it's a fucking podcast episode, you know what I mean? Will I try to do my best and give you the real? Yes. But this work takes fucking time. I've been on this journey for years. I have been with coaches and healers and therapists and for years. So I hope this is just the start of the conversation. You know the deal. I am here to hold you. There's amazing communities that want to usher you into the juice, if you will. Not the hashtag face masks. You know what I mean? Love a good face mask, but you get what I'm saying. So before we get into that juicy ass topic, we get into the richness of it. And remember that we all are magical beings, because we are. I'm going to come in with a little story. I love a little tale. I think because I have such crazy fucking stories, I'm like, I always got to put story. I always got to put a story in these fucking podcasts, because here I am. Okay, so a few years back, actually now that I think about it, it's been a moment. So many years back, I had the privilege, I was going to Mexico quite frequently for these women empowerment retreats. And over time, it was great, because I went from student, then I would help volunteer. And I feel very blessed and privileged that was part of my, healing journey, that I got to do this empowerment work, et cetera, et cetera. Well, was it one of the first ones? Yeah, maybe the first, second. One of the OGs, the OG trips. I'm at this women's retreat, put a lot of money down, but it felt like a full yes, and I don't regret it at all. But it was a full yes. I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to go. I'm going to transform. And this was part of a bigger, longer program. But this was the first, let's knock it out of the park, retreat. And then we will do, the program a few months, it'll continue for a few months, virtually, and then also New York, blah, blah, blah. Great. So we're doing this exercise, right? And great exercise. But here's the thing. As someone that's pretty witchy, but pretty intuitive with energy, I've done this exercise before in the classroom, but now this was more of the, advanced study in Mexico. And I felt the energy was a little bit hyped. And this was a physical activity. You were going to do this exercise with a partner. But I felt people being in Fight Club energy, yeah, I was like, oh my God, I am fucked. I felt it's supposed to be an exercise, you're kind of putting your weight on a partner, it could be done all well. But I felt the Fight Club vibes, and I'm like, oh, shit's about to go down. I'm about to be fucked. I knew it, and as much as this may surprise you, I am a delicate daisy. I'm not, because as you could tell, I'm a fucking animal, but my body is very delicate, which I've had to learn through my self-love journey. But I'm very delicate. I'm the clumsiest person in America. So I just was like, this is unsafe. And I knew, I was like, okay, well, we're going on a trip. And did she indeed? So everyone was hyped, everyone was ready to go, and I had a gut don't do it. And I was like, fuck it, I paid for this, I'm gonna do it. So I learned a lesson in intuition that day. And the person that I was going with was hyped. God bless her. I get it. She was like, I'm ready to do this exercise. And I was like, I'm hesitant to do this exercise. The Cliff Notes is, we were not an energetic match, okay? We were in 2 different plays, 2 different shows, two different universes. And homie flipped me. I was a rag doll. Or not flipped, how do I explain this? She manhandled my tender little body. And I was like, and I said, no, but I was like, I'm fucked. And I knew I was on the floor and I was like, well, that's it. Long story short, I was fucked. The cliff notes of that is I was fucked, but had to go to the hospital. There's crazy funny stories in that just were very LOL, but I had a great friend and I met a great friend, my friend Holly, and she took me and she, that was the beginning of our friendship and we still laugh about it now. Like, well, how was that the beginning of our friendship? But she was working for this place and she took me to the hospital and she helped me and, was like, help, so it was a great start to our friendship. But why I say this story, well, there's a lot of fucking lessons in the story and there's actually a lot of good sub stories in this, but like, that's not the point. So I'll pause with that part of the story, but I remember when I came back, this is a sidebar, but I remember I came back to the room in the wheelchair with the crutches. I also, this always happens. Like, again, I'm the most accident prone person. This is a sidebar, again, a random sidebar, but I love it. And it's so funny. My siblings and I, we were like, oh, like instead of exchanging Christmas gifts, let's go out. My sister's like, let's do axe throwing. And my mom heard and she goes, you're not going axe throwing. I'm like, excuse you. I'm a full grown adult. I'm 31 years old. She's like, you are the most accident prone person I've ever met. I'm like, Mom, it's fine. Like, it's fine. And she's like, your ass broke your foot from skiing and you didn't even ski. And it's true. One time when I was 8 years old, I was like, I'm going to go skiing. And I stood up and I broke my foot just in the boot. And there my mom sees me coming down the mountain. She's coming down the mountain. When she comes, there's Erica coming down the mountain. And I was like, hi, Mom. And she's like, what the fuck happened? And I'm like, I stood up, the boot was too big. So didn't even ski. So understandably, like this story about Mexico, it's in my wheelhouse. We love a good accident. We love a good crutch. Like this is just, yep. Everyone's like, oh God, this is so on brand for you. But I had good friends. They decorated my feet with crystals and little stickers, so I felt very loved. But here we go, back to the point of the story. I remember when I came back to the room from the hospital, this was like a all day sessions, right? So I went to the hospital and I was like pissed. I was like, fuck, what's happening in the classroom? But I came back from the classroom in my wheelchair, with my crutches and I'm like, hey. And the teacher, I was like, I'm so sorry. Just very apologetic. And we have to talk about that one day. Just like, why am I apologizing? But like, just apologizing. And the teacher was like, she was cute. She was playing she put Beyonce's, Sorry, I'm Not Sorry. That song? Wow, I really sang that really well. You probably definitely know the song. But she was saying stop saying sorry, stop apologizing for being. And I was for so many years. And now I help clients that have the I'm sorry energy. It's just apologizing for taking up space. And I remember I was like, I'm sorry. She's like, bitch, why are you sorry? You just went to the hospital. And so everyone the whole week would sing, sorry, I ain't sorry. That song the whole week. And I was like, thank you. It helped me. And even now when I'm in that self-deprecating place, I'm like, thank you, Beyonce, just for your service. But thank you, Beyonce, for helping me. Remember, I shouldn't fucking be sorry for, my existence. But here's the point of the fucking story, 27 minutes later, is that week, it was about self-empowerment. It's very pleasure-focused and not sexually pleasure. I mean, yes, sure. But pleasure, feeling good in your body, self-love, feeling good, all the things. And so there was a catchphrase, about being in your pleasure. So I was out for the count. I fucking couldn't do anything. And there was some amazing women, and it was really beautiful to watch this. Women that really took care of themselves, watching them, really nourish themselves, take care of themselves. And they were so overflowing that they're like, I'm going to come to your room and take care of you. I'm going to do this. And I was like, whoa, watching that was beautiful integrity. And then I had some friends, no shade, but I guess some shade, that would say, I was like, hey, I'm so sorry. Here it is. I'm so sorry. I can't even chat. I can't do anything. And so, you know me, I say you should know me at the time. Okay, reframe. But I was so apologetic and I was so making myself small. I didn't want to bother anyone. So I wasn't like, can you take me here? Can you do this? I was just the bare minimum. Can you take me to class? Or what, I would literally crawl to the bathroom to shower, not asking for help. And it's funny, the teacher said, I think this is going to be a good lesson for you to receive. And I was like, ooh, shit. Because it is. I have to ask for help. I can't do it all myself. I can't hide. I can't play small. I could say, I'm okay. I don't matter. I'm sorry. You can't do that. You have to ask for help. You have to, receive. And so I was like, okay, all right, this is hard for me, but I'm going to receive. And so some of those women, fabulous, they're like, yes, and they were taking care of themselves, but they're also like, I got you. They were coming from a place of overflow. And then I got some people that I was like, hey, I'm so sorry. Like, do you mind just wheeling me to class? And I was met many times with, yeah, that's not my pleasure. Oh, that gives me the chills still, till this day. And I saw that being used all the time. Oh, it's not my pleasure. And I saw that throughout this work, people would say, oh, you have to, I'm giving up a dumb example, but like, you have to pay your taxes. Oh, that's not my pleasure. Or, someone that you love is in pain, you have to help them. Yeah, that's not my pleasure. And I remember I was getting pissed. I was like, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, this is not like, yes, there is a space for being in your pleasure, but also like life happy. Like, what's the balance? And I remember talking to one of the, people on staff, and I was like, quick question for you. Do you see this? And she was like, oh, you have no idea. Like, some people come here, they get the work and they get it. And some people twist it and manipulate it for just about me. Self-love, but it's my self-love. And that's why I wanted to call it this 25-minute story, is I try to hold myself and my clients accountable when the self-love gets a little bit wonky, because I do want you to love yourself. I do want you to listen to yourself. It's the old, you got to put on your oxygen mask before helping other people. Like, yes, 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 yes. And in this Instagram, TikTok reality we're living, I think it's become a little warped of like, that's not my pleasure. Self-love, me. And I'm like, wait, hey, we're not even going to the depths of the work here. So I wanted to voice that before we got into the real shit, because I'm like, to me, my understanding of true integrous self-love is fucking, sure, loving the shit out of yourself, thinking, you're hot shit, whatever, you're flipping your hair. But also knowing yourself, going inward with yourself, honoring all the pieces of yourself, the glam pieces, the hot pieces, the crunchy as fuck pieces, the shadow pieces. I'm not saying you have to live from the shadow, but see them, honor them, say, okay, I know you're here. I'm not gonna, going and doing like the real deep work and not just doing like the self-love, but it's about me. It's about me. Like, that is where I'm like, I don't like where this trend is going. And that's why I try to course correct with my clients. I'm like, hold up. We have to treat you like you, are the most fucking rock star, badass human being. And we're also in community with people. We're also dealing with so much shit right now that I can't just have you being tunnel focused. It is a happy medium. And when I see people that are really, and we'll talk about this later, but that are really fucking filled up and love themselves and honor themselves and have a real self-love practice, those are the people that are like, oh yeah, bring me in. I could do those things. Like, bring me in. I can do that work because I am so filled up. I am feeling so good that I can help others. So I wanted to call out this like crunchy, fake, but I have to take care of myself energy. Yeah, you do have to fucking take care of yourself. Like, you do have to take care of yourself. And how can we be, instead of from a place of me, how can we be in a place of nourishing yourself, nurturing yourself, treating yourself like the fucking divine, and be in co-collaboration with others? How can you not only treat yourself like your, divinity, which in my belief you are, but also be in co-collaboration with others, treating them like they're also the divine? Does that make sense? So it's a fine ass fucking line, but that's something that I have to I practice all the time, and I practice with my clients. Like, we want to do self-love, and we also want to love others and be responsible for what's going on in the planet, and not taking this work and making it crunch city. Crunch city, bitch. Does that sound good? So my first question to you, let's go to the question. It's question time. But my first question to you is, I'm like actually annoyed of how much I sing. Why? Why does she love to sing a song? But my first question, here it is how can you get closer to your truth today? Part of the story about Mexico is I had to speak my truth. You know, I spoke my truth to the girl. I was like, hey, like, let's talk about this. Even though it made me fucking hella uncomfortable, I had to speak my truth to the program, which was hella uncomfortable because at the time I put this program on a pedestal and I didn't want to upset anyone. And that's why I was saying, sorry. It's like, no, girl, like, you were hurt. We need to talk about this. So it was very uncomfortable for me. But I remember I contacted, this place and I said, I love you guys. I want to come in as a co-collaborator and say, like, can we modify this tool? Because clearly it's not working. Can we just add languaging around this tool to make it feel safe for all? Because I didn't feel safe and I wasn't safe. And that was really fucking hard for me because I wanted to be like, oh, no, you guys are more important and I'm not worthy and I'm small. No. So even though I wasn't at that point, wasn't in this, like, I am a fucking goddess. Yeah, I wasn't there yet. My self-love started from speaking my truth. And so before, everyone's like, speak your truth. It's like, what the fuck is your truth? So my first question is, how can you even get closer to your truth? Instead of being, and no shade to any of us, but, being so in the exterior, so like wrapped outside of ourselves, like, how can I come inward? How can I really know myself? How can I live from a more intuitive place? And what the fuck is my truth? What are my desires? What are my needs? What are my goals? And how can I get closer to them? How can I speak them? How can I speak my needs? Not from a place of that's not in my pleasure, but like from a true honoring the divinity within. And taking steps towards, and we'll talk about this, but advocating for me. And again, like I just said, not from a place of me, but like me and we. First of all, I need to speak my truth because this was absolutely inappropriate to happen. But I'm also collaborating with you that this should never happen again. So there's this invitation, if you will, to start speaking and advocating for yourself. And we'll talk a lot, about the inner child. Like, that's a big component of my work. But for the first time, I abandoned myself. We all kind of have this story, like I abandoned my inner child. I mean, especially in high school, probably, definitely before that. Now I'm thinking, I'm like, definitely before that. But like when I was so shamed and, self-conscious and fear-ridden, I totally abandoned myself. And that's okay. I forgive myself for doing that. But this was my first time, and I have to continue to do this, was protecting myself and advocating for myself and advocating almost like for that little child. Because she couldn't do it. She's like, I can't do that. So I needed to show up and protect myself, advocate for myself, speak my truth, speak my needs. And the funny thing is people were willing to meet them, you always have this fear of like, fuck, I'm asking too much. And people were like, hell yeah, thanks for letting me like see you. Thanks for sharing your truth. Like, I'm absolutely happy to meet you there. And that's a tale for another day. But that in itself being met is a huge component of the self-love journey. And I know this may come off like overwhelming, like speaking my desires. What are my desires? So often I'm like, let's speak your desires and, let's talk about your goals. And people are like, hey, I don't know what the fuck my desires are. And so if that's coming up for you, if this conversation is like both exciting and overwhelming, I so fucking understand because, when I started this work, I was the same way. When my clients start this work, they're like, I know what you're putting down is I want it. Like I know what you're putting down is something that I want, but I'm very overwhelmed. I don't know what the fuck to do with this information. Help. And you know the deal. If you've listened to any of my episodes, I say the same thing every single time. Because it's important for me to hold people through this work. I really care about helping people through true self-love versus like the crunch that's going on now. And listen, there's a place for the crunch that's going on now, but it's really important for me to hold people deeply to do the fucking work, to honor themselves, to honor the divinity within themselves, to have good relationships. Like this means everything to me. This is my mission. This is my work. And so you know the deal because I drop it every episode. I drop it and then I close it very quickly. But you know the deal. I'll make it brief. Every month, what I do is, and I think we're actually almost full for this month. So that's why get on in now. Hop onto my website, www.wethelight.org. And what I do is every month I open up just a handful of sessions. They're totally free. They're no strings attached. And what we do is maybe we talk about what came up in an episode for you. We do a mini session. We do desires. We might, work with some of your archetypes. We do all of the work that I love to do and that I know is fucking transformative. So we do that work. We do it up. My intention is that you leave with tools, tricks that you feel like, okay, I have somewhere to go, which is also great. First of all, it's great any time of the year, but I know we all feel like the weird pressure from the world of like, it's the new year. Like, first of all, fuck it. Every day is a new day. You know what I mean? Like, you could always start again. So whenever you're listening to this, it doesn't matter. like honestly, every moment's a new opportunity to show up differently. But I know that there is like a societal pressure of like January, so this episode is coming around January. So I'm sure you probably feel the societal pressure of like, I want to show up differently this year, so take me up on this. That session is kind of like an activation of, okay, this is what I want to let go of, and this is how I want to show up differently. And we do that, and at the end of the session, if we don't jam out, all good. I wish you the best. You have a new friend in me. If we jam and you're like, Erica, I like what you're putting down, we talk about potentially working together. If we're a match together, we see if that's a fit. If it's not, again, God bless. You have a friend for life. If it is, perfect. We start, working together, and that's through my coaching package, which is fucking amazing. I do have to brag on myself because it's a privilege, it's an honor to watch these fucking amazing humans transform, feel confident, have the love that they want, show up completely differently, have a relationship with spirituality, have trust in their life, have love in their life from themselves, from others. This is a real fucking deal, okay? So I know you're multitasking right now, so go www.wethelight.org, hit book a free session, and we'll do the things. And again, if we work together, buckle up. It's about to be fucking amazing. If not, you just got free tools. You just got access to me, which I gotta say, I'm pretty badass. And it's gonna be good. So definitely go do that. Definitely go do that. And I know you've heard this before. I'm sure you've seen this on the fucking gram. And it's like, self-love isn't selfish. And it's true. It does help you be better. And I know we talked about this before, but I do work with a lot of moms, a lot of people that are feeling burned out. And it's like when you're in that place of burnout and crunch and like, ooh, I like actually feel it in my stomach. Like when you feel that way, you can't show up for others. You can't show up for yourself. You can't show up for others. So this work, when committing to this work, is such a fucking beautiful act for yourself, but it's a beautiful act for your friends, family, the random person at the grocery store. When you shine, and it sounds fucking corny, but when you shine, you give permission for others to shine. They're like, oh, they're doing it? Okay, that's permission for me to step into myself, for me to rise, for me to be my authentic self. And so, there is this like, it's so selfish. And I'm like, that isn't true. Again, is there a space where it can get into selfishness? Like, it's not my pleasure? Sure. Like there is a caveat, where people then, it's not my pleasure. And I'm like, hold up. That's not the integrity of the work. The integrity of the work is I'm going to take time for myself. I'm going to remember that I'm a fucking child of God, universe, divine, something bigger than myself. And again, you don't have to be religious or spiritual or anything, but I'm going to remember I'm a fucking badass. Let's keep it at that. I remember I'm a badass. I remember I'm worthy. I remember I'm lovable. I remember I have so much to offer, and I take really good fucking care of myself so I can show up. So I can show up as my best self. So I can show up making aligned decisions. So I can show up doing the damn thing. And then guess what? That shit reverberates? Is that the right word? It rumbles through the atmosphere. I'm always on a roll and then I ruin it with my fucking foolishness. But when I show up in my full expression, then it gives permission to others to light up, feel good, which we fucking need desperately right now. I mean, we always need it, but we are in the pits and we desperately need that feeling good, feeling alive, feeling connected, feeling in alignment. A great example of, that's kind of like the cliff notes of it, but a great example, a tangible example of this is I have this bank account example with my clients. And I'll be like, all right, where are you? Where are you in the bank account? And like a bank account, it's like, are you in the green? Are you in the red? What's your number? Where you're at? And so I'm going to ask you that question, like, how's it looking? Is it looking pretty green? Like, is it green or is it like green? Or are we red? Are we red? Like Where are you in this bank account, if you will? And I want you to notice, and you're going to have, you'll notice it right now, but I also want you to notice it throughout your day. Like, what is a deposit for you and what's a withdrawal? And again, caveat here, sometimes we have to withdraw. Sometimes life happens and, there's death and there's sadness and there's fucking a pandemic, so I'm not saying like, ignore it, just keep depositing. Like, sometimes withdrawals happen and that's okay. And that's necessary. So it's like, okay, I'm going through this grief-stricken situation. Yeah. Instead of being like, no, I could withdraw, but how am I going to be in the green and nourish myself, nourish my family? There's this weird, I don't want you to think of it in a toxic way of like, only green, only red. Yes, yes, yes. Like, no, life happens, like I want us to be conscious of that. But I do want you to be mindful of like, what are the things that turn me on, AKA give me greens? And that doesn't mean sexually. That means what makes me feel alive? What makes my soul feel fulfilled? What makes me feel nourished and nurtured? Those are the greens. Like how, and the question is, how can I keep adding deposits to my account? And sometimes they're big, big whoppers, like, okay, I'm going to do this retreat. Well, bam. But sometimes it's, I'm going to take a little nap, or I'm going to read these affirmations for 15 minutes, or I'm going to listen to a positive podcast. Like the great news is they could be varying degrees. It could be like 5 cents deposit or 500, but we want to be mindful of that green. And then with the withdrawals, I want you to notice it. Again, if it's something that's real life that has to happen, okay, no problem. We don't shame ourselves. We don't make it wrong. No problem. That withdrawal had to happen. But for more things like toxic friends, negative self-talk, I'm avoiding doing work and I'm just watching Netflix for 7 hours. Like, okay, like those type of things that are withdrawing, how can we shift that? And how can we shift it? Maybe stop taking it as a withdrawal, or how can we counteract it with a deposit? And here's my intention. I want you to get so fucking good at where you're at with this. Like, I want you to be like, I'm here now, I need this, or I'm here. I want you to get so good that money, quote unquote, in your account is so overflowing. We got savings, we got investments, honey. Like, it is thriving that you withdrawing for good reason, you don't even fucking feel it. You know what I mean? So you going and volunteering, you going helping a friend, you fighting for injustices or whatever it is, it doesn't even ripple you. You're like, oh, I am so overflowing. I didn't even feel it come out. And again, like there's a space for us to feel it, but I want you to be in such a place of overflow that I can give, I want to give. Because here's the thing, when we do give, when we are holding space for others, that's usually a huge green. When we think, oh, it's going to be a withdrawal, it's going to be me helping someone or me doing this, it's a withdrawal. No, it's fucking not. If the person's again, caveats. But usually it's a green because we're in alignment. We're leading through love. We're holding space for people. We're showing up as our best self and we're helping others rise. Yeah, that's usually the best green you can get. But I want you to get into that place. Point of the story is getting to that place where you are in fucking overflow. And if you're in withdrawal city, no problem. Okay, we're not going to shit on ourselves. We're going to say, okay, how can I get back to a place that feels nourishing? How can I get back to a place that feels good? Because when I feel good, and again, there is room for sadness, grief, rage, all of that. But when I feel taken care of, I can show the fuck up for myself, for others, for the planet, etc., etc. Okay? Speaking of dollar bills. Oh, money. Here's the thing. Self-love is, I don't want to say tricky, but again, we know one shade of it. It's like in my pleasure episode. We know one shade of pleasure, and that's usually in the sexual. But we don't know or have a relationship to pleasure that's rich and free-flowing. It's like speaking a language, it's like, oh, I know bonjour. It's like, yeah, but if you're thrown into the south of France, could you get into a full conversation? And so often these topics, we know bonjour. Do you love my very new do you know bonjour? Like, the French are like, oh God, this woman is assassinating our beautiful language. Bonjour. Come
Comment Appleton. Like, I don't even know any of my French. So I'm going to stop right there. But we know bonjour. You know what I mean? With pleasure, with self-love. Like, we know the 101. It's now our job, our responsibility to go deeper, to go to the next levels and to the next iterations of these topics. And again, self-love, we think, I'm just going to be nice to myself. I'm just going to treat myself, like, ooh, yes, and let's go deeper. And what I found with the dollar thing is I was really cute. She's a cutie. Because what I would do is I was starting the self-love journey and I was like, hey, and it was really fucking hard for me, as you can imagine. And I was starting the self-love journey, but I was secretly sabotaging. I was like, I love myself. I love myself. I'm going to have a very interesting relationship to food. I'm going to punish myself for food. I'm going to overeat. I'm going to binge eat. Then I'm not going to eat. Then I'm going to overexercise. I could talk about that for any of my friends that struggle with eating disorders or patterns that are not serving. That was up for me hard. And I could get really emotional about that. And I want to save that for a whole other episode because I think that's a really fucking important conversation. But I was saying I was doing self-love and I was secretly crucifying myself and punishing myself with food, with my body. And it was very, I have so much compassion for myself and for that piece of myself. Ooh. And also what I was doing is I was doing that really splendidly and really manipulatively with money because I hid it really well. Because I was so using my money in such a, I had such a crunch and I still have so much to work on, but I had such a icky relationship to money where it was either in so much control and in so much scarcity, or I was using quote unquote self-love as a way to fucking annihilate myself. I was like, this is self-love. And I was putting myself in dangerous situations time and time again. And I found out that my money situation and food, but food is more of a touchy subject, which we'll save for another day. My relationship to money was a way that I could sabotage myself because I wasn't taking care of I was doing the face mask self-love. I'm doing self-love. And my body, my nervous system was like, oh, girl, no, we're not like, like I was only addressing 2% of this beast, And so what I was doing behind the shadows is I was in self-sabotage. That's it. Honestly, it was self-sabotage. But I was in self-sabotage land with the food and with the money and just so cleverly using, I need to sign up for this class because it's self-love, but babe, you're putting yourself in debt or you're just putting yourself in really gross situations. But I have to, but it's for my self-love. It's in my pleasure. Again, crunch, crunch, city bitch. So this conversation is not just about self-talk to yourself, which is a huge component of self-love. But I also want you to notice, I should say, what's going on in the shadow. So like I was saying to myself, like, oh yeah, I love myself. But then the finances, I'm like, do you love yourself? Because you're purposely putting yourself in situations that will give you massive anxiety and make you feel horrible, And then with the food, you're crucifying yourself. You're being horrible to yourself. You're purposely overeating or you're not eating at all and you're working out 4 times a day. Do you love yourself? So that was fucking rude for me to be like, fuck, like I thought I was doing self-love. And then it was like, there's some more to look at. And so this is my time to share with you. Let's look at it. And not from a place of being mean or fresh, but like, let's look at this whole piece as a whole piece, like self-talk. Yes. But you have a whole life and there's more for us to go into. This is kind of the 101 version, but if it feels good, and again, I actually have a PDF for this, so I could send this to you, but if it feels good, you could pause this, you could write it on your phone. I'm going to read a few components or like subjects or pieces of our life. And I want you to rate it from 1 to 10. We'll say 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. Okay. So I'm going to read off subjects and you feel into What feels good? What doesn't? Does that sound good? Like 10 is thriving. I'm living my best life. It's nourished. It's leading from love. 1 is crunch, crunch city. Okay. Friends and family. From 1 to 10. How is your relationship to your friends, family? We'll say friends and family, period. But also, like, how is your relationship to stories about your family? You know, like passing familial patterns down. How is that whole thing? 1 to 10. Health. Mental health. Spiritual health. Physical health. And you could break those off into 3. How's the mental health? How's the spiritual self? How's your physical self? Work. And this could be JOB or this could be your mission. How's that? And again, if you need to tear that off into 2, great. How's your spiritual life? Like, what does that mean for you? What do you want that to mean for you? How's that? Pleasure and play. Haha. Honestly, how is the pleasure and play in your life? And again, that means sexually, that means sensually, but also that just means like, yay, you know, like in the mundane of my life, like I'm alive, I'm feeling good. Hobbies, that could be vacations, passion projects, just things that nourish you, that like, quote unquote, aren't as valuable as JOB, which is bullshit. 1 to 10. Finances, dollar bills, investments, like crypto. I don't have crypto. I can't handle the volatility. I can't handle the stress. And lastly, and here's the thing, I could break this off into sex and this and that, anything else that you want to rate, feel free to do that. But we'll end with self-esteem and carving out time for self-love. 1 to 10. Actually, fuck it. We'll add self-pleasure too. So the component of sex/sensuality. So that means with a partner, with partners, with yourself. Like, how is your relationship to your sexuality, to your body? What's that looking like? Cool. So out of those, and I listed a lot, so don't feel overwhelmed. What's at like a 1 or what's looking pretty low? And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You know, we are busy humans. And here's the thing. It's not realistic to be at a 10 all of the time with all of these topics. It's just not. We ebb and flow. This is normal. However, can we take one of those and bring it to the forefront, or one that you're like, ooh, I want to work on this? If you're feeling crazy, 1 or 2. And you could pause this episode or you could reflect on this after. I want you to have a plan, a juicy, nourishing plan. Not one that's like, hashtag New Year, New Me. No, like a plan that feels nourished. So maybe you write down like 3 action steps you want to take. Or, you know, like I just want you to not just be like, I need to work on my mental health. Okay, that was nice, Erica, bye. You know, like I want you to actually have some loving accountability around this. So again, you know where I am. If you need to be like, Erica, help, hold me accountable, no problem. Or if you need to write in your phone, like, okay, I'm working on my mental health, or I'm working on my relationship to friends and family. I'm working on my relationship to my sexuality. What the fuck does that mean? You know, so maybe just shoot out some bullet points for us to start to take inch by inch little steps forward. And asking yourself and getting real with yourself throughout the week. It doesn't have to be every day, but like, how can I get a little bit closer? I don't need to have that thing right now. It doesn't need to be on 10 to 10, but like, how can I take a baby half an inch closer to that desire? Okay. So you promise me you'll do it. I'll do it too. Okay. I pinky promise. There was this great exercise. And I know I talk about her all the time, but, Mama Gina. And there's this great exercise she made us do. We were in class one day, and at the end of class, she's like, oh, this is your homework. And I was like, great, got it. You know, my Virgo self was like, great. And she actually, at the end of class and, you know, before the next session, wanted us to set up shop as if the most important person was coming. And this is, I don't know why this is very personal to me, but my mom would always be like, my mom keeps the house very immaculate. And she'd be like, you never know who's going to come. The Pope may just show up. I'm like, okay. All right. Yes, the Pope is going to interrupt all his activities to come to New Jersey to see you. You never know. Miracles do happen, my friends. But I love that exercise because, you know, and even thinking of my mom, it was like, okay, the house has to be ready for guests or whoever comes. And And it's all about taking care of others. I mean, listen, I am, as you know, I'm a pizza bagel. My mom is very Italian. My father is a Sephardic Jew. We love to entertain. We love to take care of people. We want to make people feel nourished and taken care of and loved. And it's so funny. I fucking love entertaining. If you've been to any of my parties, hello, give me a shout out. You know they are too legit to quit. But I love to entertain. It gives me so much love. It gives me so much energy. But it's so funny because I would put all of this energy into entertaining, making people feel special. And when that role was reversed on me of like, hey, you're gonna take care of yourself, like you're the most important person, I was like, oh, fuck. So that is another invitation for you. And so she would say like, okay, if the most important person's coming, and here's a little secret, you are that person, would you wear your best outfit? You would put, instead of just like eating, your egg roll, eggnog? It's Christmas. Egg roll from the container. What if you plated it beautifully on like your most favorite china and used the most gorgeous, silverware and cups, and instead of just like chugging that LaCroix like I do, that limoncello LaCroix, like crushing it, what if you put it in a gorgeous glassware? And it doesn't have to be from, Barney's. It could be from the dollar store. It's irrelevant. But like, what if you started showing up as the most important person? And that really shook me. Because again, I was so good at giving and making people feel special. I had to turn it around and give that love, give that nourishment to myself, treating myself like I am the divine embodied. You know what I mean? Like I am an important person that deserves beauty and love and respect and all the things. And here's so I'm going to have you start to play with that, start to reflect on that. But if you're ready for some VIP homework, which you are, I would whip out your handy dandy planner, digital or handwritten, and I would write date nights into your schedule at least once a month. And I know for me, some days I do, sometimes I can't do full days, so I do half days or a few hours. But I do pleasure days. Some days I do like create a little retreat for myself. I create a little date. Even if you're partnered, if you're not partnered, it's irrelevant because the relationship with yourself is one that you will have for the rest of your life, and that is so important and that needs so much tending to. So again, I'm actually physically right now linking my pinky with yours. Do you promise to carve out time for yourself, to feel good, to feel important, to feel like you're deserving and worthy? Okay. There's this other exercise that Regina does, and it's, we're really good at deflecting and rejecting. It's like, oh God, I don't want this. It's too much. It's too much. So I want you to we talked about this in another episode, but I want you to get really good at holding good stuff. Because sometimes that feels like, I'm not worthy. I'm not deserving. But you are. And here's a quick way to do this, and this is another Regina tool, is she would teach us, anytime someone says a compliment to you, you would say, thank you, it's true. I'm sure you're like, oh my God. So instead of being like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with your dress. You look beautiful. Instead of be like, oh my God, I got it on sale. There's a hole in it. No. Say, thank you, it's true. Some people are like, some of my clients are like, Erica, I'm not doing that. And I joke with my partner, I only do it to him because he knows the tool. So he's like, oh, I'm like, thank you, it's true. But I am, we joke about it, but I am practicing not deflecting, be like, no, I'm a piece of shit. Like I'm nothing. Like, so if thank you, it's true feels too triggering, just say thank you. Notice instead of being like, oh no, I'm, getting into a state of contraction. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And if it feels too triggering, you're also, of course, welcome to give that person a compliment as well. But that sometimes is a form of deflection too. Of like, fuck, I can't have the spotlight on me. I can't have the love. I have to turn around and say they're great. I have to say they're amazing and they're fabulous. And if you feel called, like genuinely, like, wait, hold on, like, thank you. Like, I really appreciate that. And you too, I love this. You're welcome to. But I do want you to notice the patterns of, do I deflect? Or am I in the camp of, I say thank you, but then I immediately have to turn it around? Like, can you be in a space of like, thank you. I am going to own my radiance. I appreciate you. Thanks so much. Okay. Another way to do that is daily celebrations. We've definitely talked about this before, but I start almost every one of my coaching calls with, all right, give me some celebrations, give me some brags. And they're like, no, I have shit to talk about. I'm like, I know. Can you still give me celebrations during the shitstorm? And I want you to celebrate yourself on the reg. I want you to get really good on bragging and celebrating yourselves. And again, you don't have to be like, I brag to my friends, But I want you throughout the day, go through a mental list. Sometimes my clients do it in the beginning of the day, the end of the day, but they're like, I brag that I went, I brag that I went to work 5 minutes early today. I brag that I got a workout in. It could be small things, it could be big things, but I want you to start to frame things in a way of celebrating yourself instead of, such a fucking asshole. I totally fucked that up for work. I totally did this. That date was a flop. Like, hold up. There's room for reflection, but I also want you to have more celebration interjected. So those things could be true, but like, you know what? I celebrate that I went on a date. I celebrate that I'm trying. I celebrate, so I want you to have that celebration boost up energy throughout the day. There's a great quote that I love, and it says, it says, a flower does not think of competing with the other flower next to it. It just blooms. And I love that because a huge part of this conversation is comparison city, so let's get in our own lane. Even though it's so easy, we turn on the TV, we turn on the gram, we turn on the TikTok. It's easy to make fucking stories about other people. But can we take a breath? Can we get into our own lane? And I hate the saying, compete with yourself, but can you play? Can you play with yourself? But can you play, flirtatiously with yourself? Okay, I really want that desire. Okay, cutie, you kind of put that on the back burner. Let's lovingly move towards it gently. Instead of it being such a comparison, such a place of I'm wrong, they're right, can we get in our own lane? So I hope you feel me like a chiropractor. I'm adjusting you. Because I know you're looking to the left. I know you're looking to the right. I know you're like, no. Like a chiropractor, I'm adjusting, and you're welcome. I just gave you a nice energetic back crack. I'm cracking you into your own lane and with love. Okay. I'm just focusing on not me, because of course we talked about the global piece of this, but in regards to my goals, my desires, I'm only going to be in this conversation with myself. I'm going to evaluate where I am with myself instead of with others. Okay? Again, I'm throwing it back to Mama G. She's, I guess, apparently on my brain, but she geniusly calls her students sister goddesses. And why it's smart is because it's calling out the divine within everyone. Instead of, hey, Megan, that's a sister goddess. Or, hey, Mike, that's a brother god. Or to my non-binary friends, that's a fucking rock star. So instead of just being like, hey, so-and-so, no, we're calling the divinity, we're calling their higher power out. And that to me is genius. And that is a huge part of self-love. Because we can only get so far of I'm fabulous. Deep self-love is noticing the divine within you. And whether you believe in God, goddesses, universe, your cat Fluffy, I don't care. But you're believing I matter, something beyond just me and this flesh and this body. I matter. I matter. There is divine within me. There is light and true love within me. And that to me is real self-love versus I'm so hot. Again, you could be hot as hell. And I support you being hot and fierce, honey. But yes. But the deep self-love is I am fucking God, goddess, universe, right here, right now. I am a living goddess. I'm a living rock star. I am a living being of light and love. That sounds fucking extra spiritual, but here I am. And that's so huge because when you notice that within yourself, when you see, I'll say God, but I have an interesting relationship with that, but so go with me. When you see God within yourself, God, goddess, universe, within yourself, you can see it within others. And that's why I love the sister goddess thing. Because I remember I would, we treat people, we're like, yeah, this person. But I was like, this is a sister goddess. I am treating them and I'm seeing their divinity with them. And that's a huge part of self-love. If I see the God, goddess, rock star within me, I see that shit within you. And I will fight for your light. I will fight for your love. I'm not going to get wrapped up into the toxic shit. We are going to fight for us showing up in integrity and in love. And it's so funny because we go to these fucking, yoga classes, and so often we don't even know. And namaste, there is many meanings for namaste. It's like a greeting, and But a big part of namaste, bowing in namaste, is the divine in me bows to the divine in you. The divine in me bows to the divine in you. And so often we don't fucking remember our divine within ourselves. So often we don't remember the divine within others. We crucify ourselves, we crucify others, we shame the shit out of people, we make them wrong, we make ourselves wrong. We treat each other and ourselves despicably. And so my last invitation is, how can I show up remembering who the fuck I am? Not from a place of, remember who the fuck I am. No. Not like some snap energy. From remembering who the fuck I am, that I am a child of this amazing divine power, whatever it is, and I'm going to see others that way. I'm going to see others in that light. I'm going to remember that they are worthy and powerful. And when you treat people with that, when you see fucking people and you see their divinity, ooh, do they show up. Ooh, do they show up. And I want you to show up and remember that. I want you to remember that the divine in you is alive as well. That you're beyond this like fleshy, beautifully fleshy thing. Does that sound cool? And because I'm a dating and love coach, I so often see clients come in with the story of no one will choose me. No one will choose me. And that's a big story that plays out. Rightfully so. You know, we get abandoned by family and friends, and it's alive and well in this society. And I want you to choose you. So my final, I thought I gave you a final invitation, but my final invitation is, how will you choose you? How will you show up for all the parts of yourself? The hot parts, the sticky parts. How will you show up and honor yourself? How will you be an advocate for your inner child? What action steps will you take today? A, for the thing that we talked about, you know, that little chart we talked about. How will you nourish that piece? And also, how will you nourish yourself and support you, period? And finally, how can you see with love? How can you remember who the fuck you are? That like deep, remember who the fuck you are. How will you act with love? And how will you live your life from a place of deep ass integrity and deep love? I'm speaking to you directly, my little angel baby. You're so fucking lovable. You're worthy. You're fabulous. You're bringing tears to my eyes, how fucking amazing you are. You're incredible, you're wise, you're smart, you're funny as all hell. You're lovable, you're whole, and you're amazing. I need you to remember that. I need you to remember that that can be available in others. But more importantly, I want you to remember that within yourself. So pinky promise, we're doing one last finger hook. Let's keep taking steps, baby steps, daily action towards remembering the truth of who you are. Remembering that you can lead with love. Remembering that you're worthy and deserving of having a life that feels really nourishing to you. And remembering that when you're lit up, you give others permission to light up, shine, and fucking rock out with their bad self. I love you so fucking much. Thank you, seriously thank you so much for joining me on today's episode and on this podcast journey. And if you loved what we talked about today, and you know another human who could definitely benefit from what was discussed, I would so appreciate if you would go ahead and share this podcast with them. Don't forget, hit subscribe or follow so you never ever miss an episode. And the great news is you can always follow me, my work, my blog, my podcast on my website at www.wethelight.org. And hey, remember, life is so much brighter when we shine. I'll see you next time.